So I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite things ever when it comes to manga is when a new manga comes out and it's by a guy or a lady mangaka that's already had a title or two under their belts. With how much of their life is already spent working on one series, it seems like you'd kind of have to be crazy to make another one usually, but at the same time, I guess being an author is kind of their job. But it's still really cool to me to see a name I've seen or heard before along with a new title. To me, it always feels like, yeah, this guy knows the game, they've been here before, so they know how it goes, and they've had a story to tell before, but they aren't done telling stories. They've got a little more for us, and that's exciting to me. Some of my favorite manga have actually come from cases like this, like Sui Ishida returning to make Chojin X, or Negi Haruba after making quintessential quintuplets is now back and making Ranger Reject. Sometimes it doesn't really work out so well, like in the case where we had Kishimoto finish Naruto and then go on to make Samurai 8, which definitely overstayed its welcome in Jump and then eventually got axed, but it was cool to see him take another swing at it. Recently though, I found myself diving into the works of Satoshi Mizukami. It started with me checking out Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer recently, which I always thought was like a much older manga, and at first I had only read a chapter or two and then put it on hold for a while. And during that time I saw a lot of my friends on Twitter reading it and also the other works that the same author has made, which I was unaware of, such as things like Sengoku Yokai, which at the time of this video is airing an anime season, and I was like, oh cool, I'll peep that too. Because like I said, I like when an author has more than one work, and then I looked deeper and saw that the same guy also made Spirit Circle, and I think I just got some misinformation from someone that told me that his first manga was Planet With, and that's not true, but anyway. So I decided to come back and read Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer this past month, and it was great. If you haven't read it, it's about a pretty smart but hopeless boy that's kind of moving through life without purpose until he meets a talking lizard, and he finds out he was chosen as one of these like 12 knights and meets a girl they call the princess. She happens to live next door to him and she's super powerful, but to sum everything up, their goal is to defeat an evil wizard who has basically put Earth on a doomsday timer, and once you have been made aware of its existence, characters are now able to see this massive hammer floating in space, slowly making its way toward the Earth, and so the evil wizard wants to destroy the world, and the princess wants to beat him and stop the biscuit hammer so that she herself can destroy the world because she loves Earth so much and wants to be the one to destroy it herself. From there, the boy falls in love and dedicates his life to helping her achieve that goal, and while I read that, I was like, wow man, what a unique concept. Saving the world so that I could destroy it myself is kind of nuts, but after that, it's when I realized that this mangaka also created Spirit Circle, a manga that I was always planning to read but just never got around to it. Back in the day, a few years ago, when I watched the anime Erased, I think I just kind of assumed Spirit Circle was by that author, and I was like, oh cool, I'll get to it one day. But recently I found out, like I said, that it was all the same one guy, Satoshi Mizukami, who made Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammers and Goku Yukai, Spirit Circle, Planet With, and a couple others, which I just started. I was immediately blasted with more excitement to read the next series, and that's when I started Spirit Circle, which I think, now that I've completed it, that manga is one that I think everyone and their moms needs to experience. Spirit Circle was intended to be the focus of this video, but I think I'll end up just talking about Mizukami and his works in general more by the end of it. But for those who don't know, Spirit Circle is a completed seinen manga that finished around 2016 or 2018, and like I said, one of my favorite things is a mangaka with a lot of manga. It always hits me when I'm reading something completely different, like wow, all this time he was writing this one story and that I thought was really great, yet another incredible story in the bag, and wasn't like accidentally leaking those ideas into any of his other stories. I really admire that level of discipline, and I guess that is just the difference between a professional mangaka and a guy like me. But Spirit Circle is a tale that follows a young boy named Futa Okeya, I'll just call him Futa from here, and a girl named Koko Ishigami, which I'll just refer to as Coco. Futa is an average high schooler with no specialties or anything to make him physically special, but his eyes do allow him to see ghosts. It's something that he's afraid of, and so he doesn't, prefer to see them, but he can't help it. And so one day, there's a new student transferring to his class, and it's a girl that he finds cute and cool by the way that she doesn't hide the scar on her forehead, and instead she wears it like a medal, with pride, like a medal. Futa himself has a bandage on his cheek that we later find out is to cover up a scar or a birthmark of some sort. The girl has a sharp tongue and also has a ghost following her that speaks to Futa and introduces himself as East. But since responding to a ghost in public would make him look crazy, he just ignores the ghost while trying to become friends with Coco, the new student. He falls asleep in class and he has a weird dream where he sees what he believes to be himself and some strangers, and they're all dressed weird, and the little girl in the dream looks a lot like Coco for some reason, and eventually he wakes up and he feels really happy but also sad, crying in class and kind of embarrassing himself, but he's overcome with the urge to become friends with Coco after this. days. A little bit of time goes by, and they show some of the school day, but it's mostly unimportant stuff until the end of the day, where we see Futa, after thinking about this girl all day, has come to the conclusion that maybe this is love. Not too out of the ordinary for a high schooler to think he's got a chance with a cute girl that sits next to him, but he spots East and Coco walking after school, and they meet up for a moment to talk about some things like school activities. And he offers to show her around, which she declines, saying she prefers to stay to herself. He tells her anyway that she should check out joining a club, and he starts telling her about all the clubs and that his friends are in the clubs and talks about how great all his buddies are, and she likes this. To her, he seems like a good guy, and since he has so many good things to say about his friends, that's a good thing. Coco tells Futa that he reminds her of someone she hates, and after seeing his positive qualities, she realizes that he can't possibly be the same person, so maybe she can let her guard down a little bit, and she ends the conversation saying, see you tomorrow. And East also says goodbye. East is the ghost, remember? East says goodbye, to which Futa accidentally responds saying, yeah, see ya. Coco realizes that Futa responded to East, the ghost, and realizes that Futa can see him. Immediately, she runs over to Futa, demanding he take off his bandage on his face, revealing a mark that he says he was born with, and comments on how he thinks she's cool for not being ashamed of hers, but he thinks his own mark is weird, and she completely changes on him, telling Futa that he is in fact the guy that she hates, and that her scar is a mark of honor while Futa's is a curse, and that it is something that he should feel ashamed for. Confused, Futa has no idea what's going on, and Coco whips out a ring-like weapon with different flaming symbols on it, saying that they've actually known each other for a long time, and asks him if he knows what reincarnation is. Again, Futa is very confused, since to him, he just met this girl, and he's completely caught off guard and thinks she's crazy as she whacks him with this circular weapon, launching him down a staircase. Next thing he knows, he is a different person in an entirely different time period, and that covers the first chapter basically. We're launched into this epic story about revenge, reincarnation, and a cycle of hatred. Now, I won't spoil everything, but basically, Futa and Coco have reincarnated into multiple different people over the years and have always come to butt heads in almost every era. Futa discovers that he is also has one of these magical items called a spirit circle and a spiritual buddy like East with him named Rune, and after seeing the events of one of his past lives, Coco tells him that she will in fact kill him after he's gone through each of those lives and sees the crimes that he's committed over the years. The story is filled with mysteries such as what is the true purpose of the spirit circle and how is it created, and finding out the different, the things that the different incarnations of Futa did is also very interesting. In the first timeline, he's a villager and his lover is being sacrificed. In another, he's an esteemed knight on a witch hunt. Another life has him as a researcher, and so on and so on. And after he experiences each story, he learns what he did in each past life and how he and Coco died in the past. In some cases, he died first, and Coco ends up telling him what happens after he passed away. But the most interesting is the past life that Coco hates the most, named Fortuna. As Futa uses the spirit circle to go through each life, he often runs into Fortuna, who taunts him and sometimes spoils him on what will happen next in that life that he's about to experience. As things progress, you see that for one or another reason, Futa's past lives all commit horrible crimes, either against a single person or humanity, and as it gets worse and worse, you're still reminded that even with how bad it got, Fortuna was still the worst. It's crazy when you really sit back and look at how much incredible storytelling was perfectly contained in only about 45 chapters, and this author just continues to impress me. Seriously though, when you think about how often manga gets axed, it's kind of wild to imagine someone having the balls to plan out a story like this. I feel like I would be afraid of getting canceled, but it is a monthly series, and I think these guys at this point knew this guy was the real deal. That's it for Spirit Circle though. I hope you read and enjoy it as much as I did. I read it all in about 3 days, and it easily made itself into my top 10 manga of all time. I haven't made the list, but at some point I'm probably gonna make a top 10 manga video for my own personal top 10, but I haven't thought of it yet. But Spirit Circle is gonna be in there. The greatness doesn't stop with Spirit Circle though, because remember, like I said, this guy is a real writer. I thought he just had Planet with Biscuit Hammers and Goku Yokai and Spirit Circle, but he's got a couple one-shots, and I just discovered he also has a Magical Girl series that he starts in 2020, and that's still going. It's like tri-monthly, it's quarterly, like how Black Clover is now. And he actually just started another manga that's like an isekai in 2014. Literally January, chapter 1 came out. That's right. At the time of recording this, he has one new manga with a single chapter out. And so currently I'm making my way through Planet with, and I've read a couple chapters of his new stuff, like the seasonal one that I was talking about. And I gotta say, this guy is really starting to become one of my favorite manga. He has a very impressive portfolio, and every manga he's written so far has a vastly different plot to the next. It never feels like just biscuit biscuit hammer characters in another manga or anything like that. Seriously, if you haven't peeped any manga about Satoshi Mizukami, then you should. If you like this video, please leave a fat like, and if you aren't already subbed, hit that sub button for me, man. Comment to let me know your thoughts on Spirit Circle or any of his other works, or, you know, let me know anything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.